Hey guys, it's Adrian and it's Top 5 Wednesday. If you're new to Top 5 Wednesday, I will leave all the links in the description box below so you can go check it out and maybe even join in the Top 5 Wednesday fun. This week's topic is top 5 books that you did not like, but you do like to discuss for whatever reason. I've got 5 here for you. These are going to be some unpopular opinions, but I do like to discuss them. I don't like them for particular reasons, and that's why I like to discuss them, if that makes any sense. So, let's get started. These are in no particular order. I've got 5 here for you, and I'm very excited. First up, A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. I did a whole book review on this where I talked all about why I didn't like this one, but the reason that I didn't like this one is because it's very heavy on child abuse, and I have a hard time with child abuse. I can appreciate the need to put a child abuse in a story if there's a particular reason for it. If there is a lesson to be learned or it's helpful to those who have gone through child abuse. But this one, it just seemed like child abuse for a plot. It didn't seem like there was a purpose to it. There were also some character issues that I had in this book. But the reason that I like to discuss this book is because some people really loved it. This was an absolute hyped up book and it was very popular. I was one of the people that didn't like it. There are a few of us that didn't like it. I read this for a job in librarians way back in June, something like that. But I do think that these kinds of books are discussion worthy. Why is the author writing about something like this? Because even though I didn't like it and it seems to me like this was child abuse for a plot, there is very well a possibility that that is not the case. That Robin Rowe maybe has some experience with child abuse, or she has friends that has child abuse, and so there is a reason for her writing this. Because I didn't see it doesn't mean that there's not. I think that these books are very important to opening our eyes to children who are being abused that we may not notice. It's good for us to learn how to pick up the signs on child abuse, because as adults it is our responsibility to make sure that the children in our lives are safe. Next up is a similar book, and that's 13 Reasons Why. I read the book and I watched the Netflix series. I did like the Netflix series more than I liked the book. I do find them sort of problematic. I didn't like the book. The Netflix series I appreciated. The book I wasn't a huge fan of. I think I gave it like a 2 stars, 2.5 stars. The reason I didn't like the book is because, for those of you who don't know, 13 Reasons Why deals with a girl who committed suicide, and she records 13 tapes and sent it to the 13 people that she feels are contributors to the reason that she committed suicide. What the book didn't do is it didn't have much connection between the 13 people who received these tapes. Nobody was talking about it. They were all keeping it to themselves, which is one of the reasons that this girl committed suicide in the first place. She wasn't talking to anybody about her problems. And it's really important for kids who have gone through a tragedy like this, or for kids who have suicidal thoughts, to have somebody to talk to. And this book was encouraging the kids to keep it all for themselves. There are other issues that I have with this book. I know there's the whole controversy of should teenagers watch the show or read the book, or shouldn't they? Will it help them with their suicidal thoughts, or will they have more suicidal tendencies? I can't answer that question. I don't know. I've never had suicidal tendencies. I don't have kids who have suicidal tendencies, so I can't honestly answer that from my life view. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that controversy, but it is something that I like to talk about. I think that it's a very important topic. We should be aware of the fact that kids in our own community, or our own friends, or adults, doesn't even have to be kids, but depression is such a big issue nowadays, and thank God it's being treated more than it was 25, 35 years ago. But still, people in our lives may be showing suicidal tendencies and we are missing them. So it's important to read books about this topic, whether they be fiction or non-fiction, so that our eyes are being opened so that we can help those in need, or send them to help when they need help, professional help. I know this is one of those videos where I'm preaching at you again, but it's the topic. Let's move on to something a little bit lighter. Next up, another unpopular opinion is Every Heart a Doorway by Sonoma McGuire. This is another really loved book. I didn't like this book. For me, it was too dark. But the reason that I like to discuss this book is because of the world building. I think, well, even though I did not like this book, even though I will not be continuing on with the series because it made me feel too down and too yuck, I think her world building for such a short little book that's like, what, 200 pages, is fantastic. She did such a good job building her world. Now, I didn't like it because I didn't like the 80s horror movie feeling that I got along with this. But the world building was fantastic, and I give props to authors that can do that in such a short amount of time. Fantastic. If you're looking for good world building in a short little book, world building that doesn't take a lot of description, you need to go read this book. So, discussion, because best world building in a short book ever if you need a good world building. And then again, discussion worthy because even though it had good world building, I didn't like it. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate the book. So it's nice to discuss books that you didn't like but you can appreciate. Next up is a book. I'm going to name one book particular, but it's more this kind of book. I've read so many of them that I kind of lost my appreciation for them. And the one that I'm going to mention now is The Narrow Road to the Deep North. I read this 2015 maybe, early 2016, I'm not really sure. It was just so long and winded, and every time I mention this to friends or whatever, I feel kind of guilty because I should appreciate World War II books and I don't. But that doesn't mean, again, that I'm negating the fact that these things happened and that they were important and that they should be discussed in its history and it should never happen again. I just don't like the books. This one in particular is, again, a very well-loved book. It's gotten numerous awards and I didn't like it. I like the discussion that comes along with World War II fiction books because I do think, like I said, that it is something that we should take a moment and think about and remember and honor the people who have survived and honor those who were lost. I just don't like reading the books, so I like to discuss the books or the topic, but I don't like to read them so much. If that makes any sense. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I don't really know how to describe it. So I like to discuss them, I don't like to read them so much. And last up is another one that I did a full review on for reasons, and that's The School for Good and Evil by Sunan Chinani. I enjoyed this first one for myself as an adult as a 4-star. As a middle grade book, I didn't like it. The discussion that I like about this one is because, well, I'm a mom, and so I think it's really important to find out what's appropriate for your preteen, your middle grade, your teenager, or whatever. As moms, we're always trying to filter out the bad stuff for our kids. There's enough crap that goes on in this world. If we can kind of keep our kids safe, sheltered to an extent with what they read, I think it's important. And this one I like to discuss because some people really love this and absolutely find that it is perfectly fine for their teenagers, and I have absolutely no problem with that. For my kids, I feel like Sophie in this book kind of sends out the wrong message, and I don't think that my kids will quite get it yet. I think that they're too young, and this book I found to be very confusing as far as the signals that were being sent out or sexuality. There just wasn't any clear answers in this book or in the second one. I enjoyed the first one for myself. The second one I didn't enjoy at all because I found it more confusing, and I feel like the more I go on with the series, the more I don't like it. So I haven't figured out if I'm going to DNF the series or not. But I like to discuss what is age appropriate. How do we know what's age appropriate? And I like to discuss this book particularly because are the things that Sophie is doing, are they bad? Are they good? Is she finding herself or is she losing herself? Again, go watch the video because I have a whole conversation with you about this that I can't get into now because this video is already too long. That was my 5 discussion worthy books that I didn't like. I rambled a lot in this one. I hope you guys can forgive me, but I have a lot to say. They're discussion worthy books, so I'm discussing with you. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about any of these books. Let's discuss them. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have not yet, I would love for you to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye!